Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andrey, your host with the most. You're watching episode number 10 of Restaurant and Research. Today's little conversation will take place about purpose. The purpose of why I would like to open a restaurant to begin with. Yesterday in the video, I came to a conclusion that when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling uncertain, when you're feeling sort of stuck on your business plan, which is my case, having a hard time sort of jumping over a few hurdles, finding answers, where to go, how to finish out this business plan. I came with a conclusion with the help of a book that maybe writing out your greater purpose for a restaurant would be a good idea. So I've taken my time yesterday and today, and beyond the mission and the vision of the restaurant, I've written a few notes on the purpose, well, expanding sort of on the mission and the vision itself. So the purpose is largely as follows. So one of the bigger purposes is to serve the community while empowering the staff. And to elaborate on that, because one sentence statements sound great, but sort of to elaborate a little bit further and to dive into more detail would be to say, well, what is the community? Who exactly are you trying to serve in your restaurant, right? Well, to reiterate on that, I would like to say the community is, first of all, the guest. The guest is, let's say they get into a restaurant in order to celebrate an anniversary or their special moment. I want that to count. I want them to be able to count on me, trusting me and my staff, that essentially they won't be effed over with, that we won't double book their seat, or they will get served something that's unfresh, or they'll get served something that's less than what the standard is of the restaurant. So essentially, treating the guest like the most important thing, because in the service industry, they are the most important thing. Nothing happens until somebody buys from you. And in order for that guest to feel welcome, to feel honored, to feel like they have a say in what the business does, is huge. And they're part of the community. After all, it's a small world, and you really have to look after these people, your guests. So when they come in, the place ideally should be neat and organized, and your staff has to feel inspired and ready to sort of wow these people away. Let's see what else I have written down here. Essentially, reliable is the word I would summarize. That when they we think of French Laundry, right? What a great brand, French Laundry. It's hard to get in there. 20 years later, you still have a hard time getting into that restaurant. So establishing that kind of reputation, that the guest is the most important thing, that we want to serve these people. That is the essence. That is the purpose. Okay, so the second part of the community would be, well, the farmers. In my books, the perfect restaurants should get all their ingredients from the local suppliers. That means the chicken, the eggs, as much as possible. Never mind the fruits and vegetables. We live in Okanagan, beautiful place, so there shouldn't be a huge problem with that. But there's a lot of restaurants like Noma, for example, that have gone outside the normal realms of the peaches and the apples, and they go out in the woods and they hire foragers to look after them. They don't order GFS or Cisco. Not making a judgment call here, but I'm just reflecting on what kind of restaurant I would like to provide. So the farmers are the backbone of the community. They produce food, they produce grains, the butters, the chickens, the eggs. They raise these animals, and as a responsible restaurant, I would like to support these people as much as possible. If possible, up to 100%. Establish long-term relationships with these people 20, 30 years. Let's keep the restaurant open for that long. If you're going to be in business of farming for that long, I'd like to buy from you for as long as possible. So these are sort of some of the principles. Well, these are the people that I mean by community. It's everybody around us, the customer, and the supplier. So that's what I mean. Serve the community, serve them, buy from them. And then the last part I have here I've written down is the staff. Empower our staff. So I've worked in many places that are great. Had their fantastic points about them, but sometimes you're stuck with working on a table that's a little bit crooked, or with the pan that the handle is a little bit loose. So every time you try to saute something, the handle is bounces and it doesn't hold the pan properly. So those are small examples, and of course mismanagement or management acting in a funny way, or even other staff towards you. So those are some examples that I would like to, if at all possible, eliminate completely. I would like to give the staff as much power as possible, the good pans, the good napkins, the good tables to work on, and empower them motivationally through speaking and meetings in order to get them to doing their best, in order to help serve the customer. And of course the customer will look after us. So I guess the short answer to this long story is a bit of almost a cliche, but doing the right thing, right? As I find out at my 27 years old, is arguably the only place to do things. The only way to do things, doing the right way. Eventually the frauds get exposed. That is 100% true, and we should strive. None of us are perfect. That is also a fact, but we should strive, especially if we take charge of other people and open a restaurant. We should try to do the right thing possible at all times, buying from the right suppliers, supporting locals, giving the best respect and level of attention to our guests, and of course to our staff, which is sort of the 3 points of a successful restaurant. I always think about it in the way of you buy a nice Le Creuset pot. Well, if you don't bash it, if you don't drop it, it'll probably still be the perfect pot 20 years from now. So these pots and the jackets, somebody has made them for you. They're beautiful. They will last. But it's how we treat other people, which is such a huge variable, and trying to maintain that level of standard and keep ratcheting it up every day is the real challenge of running a business. And that is my bigger purpose, is to do the right thing, long story short. Now, again, it might sound easy on paper. It's very easy to write something, but I think, let's say my restaurant doesn't open for another 6 months. Well, how can we practice these things, right? As owners or future owners, how can we make that happen now? But you could treat your neighbor, your roommate, your significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend in the right way, right? You could treat the person at the store with kindness and gestures. So you start practicing these beliefs and ideas, and 6 months down the line, when it's time to hire your first staff member and to get them going, well, you quite simply already been practicing that for 6 months, or perhaps for a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long you had these beliefs in you. But I'm going on a bit of a rant. Long story short, this has been a little story time on purpose. I was feeling stuck. I wasn't sure where to go with my business plan, how to solve some of the problems. So now, as we zoom out and figure out our own purpose, essentially, well, it gets easier to look for the kind of clients in the market that you're after. You already know your customer. You want somebody that likes that kind of level of respect and attention. Well, boom, there's your target market. Now we can start writing out some of our policies about how the people are going to behave and solve problems and issues that arise. Because let's say doing the right thing is one of our integral integral pieces of our policy. So with all of that, if you're struggling, if you're trying to do something similar to try and open a restaurant and you're struggling, zoom out and always look at your purpose. If you haven't established that purpose, perhaps make one. So that is my latest update in my journey of opening a restaurant. And another side update, I was thinking of posting every day just so I can get better at creating content. That is my goal for the next month here, for January and rolling into February, is to make great content, to make great video. So that's it and that's all. Thank you so much. This has been another episode of Restaurant and Research. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.